Welcome. I'm really looking forward to addressing today's topic. Basically, what to do when your partner isn't into personal growth. It can be so painful. That's what I've called it. I want to talk about something so painful. If you're in the coaching industry, if you're a coach or you're a client or you love going to yoga retreats, you pray a lot, you're devoted to reading self-help books, listening to inspiring podcasts. There's so many different ways that personal growth can manifest that you can be inspired to really work on yourself, to employ a growth mindset in how you interact with yourself, with others, and with the world at large. This was by no means meant to be an exhaustive list of expressions of personal growth, but if you're watching, I'm assuming that you have some sense of what this means to choose your way forward, to have something in your life that you want to be better within yourself, your self-talk, your fitness level, your career, whatever it is, how you parent. And so you have devoted yourself to learning what you need to learn and changing yourself so that you can enjoy your own company more, so that life can be more meaningful, so that you can feel more empowered. And whether this is something relatively new or a journey that you've been on for decades, one of the most painful things is when your partner doesn't join you on the journey, when your partner is just so focused on getting things done and work responsibilities and just falling into bed exhausted, when your partner doesn't slow down enough to know how they feel and to connect with you where you feel. When your partner in many ways is making progress in external elements of life, how income or, whatever it is, or maybe they're not, but let's just go with they are advancing in their career. But in terms of what's available to you in the relationship, somehow that plateaued while you continued to grow. This is something that is so painful, so challenging, and so important. Unless you're one of those incredibly blessed couples where you go to some Tony Robbins event together and that's your exposure, or you read a book together, or whatever it is. The point is that your journey begins together and you both want it. And then, sure, maybe you go on a detour into exploring tantric yoga or whatever it is, and your partner doesn't do that with you, but you're still on the same journey. In fact, your partner goes for walks every morning and you like to stay in bed. There are ways in which the journey is not the same all the way along, but there is something wonderful when you start the personal growth journey together and it becomes a kind of momentum and a fuel in your relationship. That's a wonderful situation, and it's not the one that I'm addressing. I'm talking about maybe before you met, maybe 10 years into your relationship, you have really moved from a seed to a bud to really blossoming in your personal growth. It's essential in who you are. And you look to your partner and they're stuck, they're frenetic, they're on a leash where life is pulling them from one thing to another. And even if they're accomplishing incredible things, there's a way in which it doesn't look empowered in comparison to how you orient in your life with, you might be somebody who sets clear goals and accomplishes them, or you might be someone who knows how to marinate in your desires and connect with your feelings. There's so many expressions of rich, beautiful personal growth where this tension can arise where you transition from feeling like you're in a relationship with a peer to feeling like it's hierarchical. It's not specifically a parent-child dynamic because that has all kinds of ramifications that I'm not talking about, but there's a way in which you are on a different channel, you're on a different path, you're on a different plane. So when this happens, it is so painful. And one of the first things that arises typically is feeling like you need to decide between your personal growth and your relationship. And many of us, I definitely had a phase like this where I had my attention on growth. And while my husband is extremely growth oriented for good reason, he was just super, super focused on work. He was working long hours. Things at work were what was most likely to be filling his mental real estate. These were the thoughts he was having. These were the challenges he was negotiating. He was leaving early, had a commute, worked 10 hours and would drive home. And during this phase, I had a more peaceful life. In my particular situation, I was homeschooling 4 children, but the way that I did it had a lot more spaciousness and not a lot of frenetic moments. And I really had an opportunity to gestate and grow and expand. And during this time, at first it was completely unconscious. It was actually my personal coach at the time who said it. And I was like, no. But then I was like, actually, yes, there's a way in which I started holding myself back. Because for me, married for, I forget how long it was, I don't know, let's say 18 years at that point, and it could have been 15. I'm not being precise, and it really doesn't matter, but it was more than 10 years and less than 20. We have 4 children. Our life was created together, and I was more devoted to our life together than I was to my own personal growth, at least at first. The more comfortable thing for me was to essentially clip my wings so that our capacity to fly was more even. And I operated, as I say, unconsciously at first with this orientation until it became unbearable, until I felt like I was very slowly dehydrating and almost dying inside. Because for me, personal growth, it's like oxygen. It's part of what fuels who I am and how I think about things. And if something is going well, there's something to learn. And if something isn't going well, there's something to learn. And if I screw up, there's something to learn. And if I feel someone else screwed up and it impacts me, there's something to learn. This is how I orient. And to have to clip that, it was a little bit like the frog in cold water where the temperature is slowly turned up and then it's boiling and they die when they could have easily popped out, jumped out in the case of a frog. That was the phenomenon for me. I just didn't realize how significant this was. Then the next phase is you go for your personal growth. Don't clip your wings. You choose to progress and expand and pursue more embodiment, more pleasure, more clarity of mind, just all of the elements of your growth. You prioritize them, and your partner still is stuck, is plateaued in the way that I've described. And then the most natural thing in the world is to tell them how to change. You really should meditate more. You know, I'd really love if you'd go to yoga with me. It's so frustrating. I want to tell you all of these things, but you don't even know what I'm talking about. You're not even interested in what I'm discovering and the new insights I'm having. There are a million ways that we both explicitly and implicitly, consciously and unconsciously point out our partner's inadequacy because we are devoted to our personal growth and they are stuck or not interested or numb or not showing up, or however you want to express it, whatever your experience is. And I want to tell you that that is not going to get you what you want. If you are so devoted to your personal growth, then it's time to implement and embody the principle that I first encountered in my high school English class when I would write papers and I would get back the comment from my English teacher saying, show, don't tell. In other words, if I was writing about a character and I said, and she was happy, my English teacher would say, no, 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 show me so that the reader draws the conclusion. And so I learned, instead of saying she was happy, to say there was a sparkle in her eyes and a smile spread over her face. Her heart felt warm as she looked at the landscape. Well, I've never said she's happy, but you know it more clearly than if I had actually said she was happy looking at the landscape. Okay, so that is the show, don't tell principle. And that really is the most effective way to navigate a situation where you are devoted to your personal growth and have grown so much, and your partner is stuck or moving at a snail's pace. And if that is something that really annoys you and triggers you, well, that is where you need to direct your personal growth so that you can be compassionate towards yourself and towards your partner, so that you can stay calm and neutral and not give so much power over to your partner's state of enlightenment or lack thereof. That is the first thing for you to do. And the second thing is to embody all of the benefits, the ease, the joy, the acceptance, to embody all of the beautiful outcomes of personal growth, so that instead of your partner feeling inadequate, judged, blamed, and shut down because of your attitudes, instead, you make it safe and appealing and wonderful for your partner to participate. Now, does this happen overnight? Absolutely not, especially if your partner has been feeling lots of pressure from you to grow and change and feels like you don't actually love them for who they are. Your job is to love them for who they are and embody the benefits of attending to your personal growth in such a way that it's compelling, it's magnetic, it's inspirational. In other words, when it comes to personal growth in partnership, show, don't tell, and you're going to get a lot better results. So I'm thinking of one woman who, they weren't actually married, but they'd been in a relationship together for 7 years. And she traveled for business a lot and really loved video calls and chatting. When she got to her hotel room at the end of her workday, she just really wanted to be able to chat with her partner for a long time, share about the day and so forth. And he never wanted to talk. Not only did he not want to do video calls, he didn't want to do phone calls, and his texts were very short. He was happy to talk and engage. He was actually a wonderful conversation partner in person. But when technology was involved, he just wasn't really present in the way that she really wanted to be able to experience. And so she had asked him to do this for at least 2 years. She'd been asking, please, please, please. And then when I was coaching her, I told her, stop asking and just focus on how you can have a fabulous time, how you can create your own happiness in the hotel rooms at the time when you'd like to be chatting with him. What can you do? Put on some music, read a book, watch a movie, put on some lingerie and do a striptease for yourself in front of the mirror. We discussed lots of different options, and her eyes just open like, oh, like she can actually create something wonderful for herself when she's lonely in these hotel rooms. And so she started doing that. And after just 2 weeks, he texted her one afternoon and said, hey, let's get on a video call. And they talked for an hour and a half. This is what she'd been asking for. But as soon as she stopped asking, and really, this wasn't even show, don't tell. This was just taking responsibility for her own experience in the most beautiful, wonderful way. And then he showed up. And you can be sure that I coached her not to say, well, it took you so long, or I didn't think you'd ever want that, or anything like that. Just let go of all those judgments and say, yes, I'd love to talk with you and have a great conversation. And I look forward to seeing you next week.